Shalom and welcome to another episode in our series called Faith Journeys with God in the Land. Today we're actually in the royal guest room at a place called Herodium. How well is your legacy preserved? It's a good question. You can see behind me this receiving room or royal guest room is indeed well preserved. Look at the frescoes. Now this was built in 15 BC by Herod the Great, and it was built as a receiving room for perhaps Marcus Agrippa. Look at the color, look at the detail. Now Herod the Great would eventually die in Jericho in 4 BC, and his body was buried here at Herodium. So this receiving room was no longer used, and because of that fact, it was really protected by what Herod the Great did in honor to preserve his royal tomb. And this particular room, because it was enclosed and covered up, look how well preserved these walls are now. All kinds of reliefs and quite impressive. This has been just recently opened. In fact, there you can see maybe more of a wide-angle view of this entire room and how well preserved these frescoes are. This is real color, and the walls represent an artist's work over 2,000 years ago. So in our faith journey, maybe the question is, how well preserved is your legacy? Now, Herod the Great built Herodium as his burial place, and what he did is he wanted to make sure people knew who he was. The big mausoleum type structure that was discovered, but not this room. So when we talk about our walk of faith, we leave a legacy. We actually are invited to reflect the light of Christ, and we are to preserve, if you will, our type of walk, our faith walk, our walk of integrity and righteousness. We are to have people, after we're long gone, to say, yeah, this person really walked a righteous life. That's what it means to sort of live out a legacy. In our legacy, we hope people remember us for the right things, right? Like the consistency of our walk of faith. And that can happen as we yield to the Holy Spirit and really watch carefully our steps, so that when people not only see us in the present life, but certainly when, let's just face it, we're all going to breathe our last breath, and I hope that people remember me as a person like, oh, yeah, he preserved well his faith. What I saw in John was a consistent walk of faith that reflected his dedication and commitment to Christ. This wall and this room specifically is well preserved, and it does indeed preserve the tremendous artwork of the people who did this, who really painted these frescoes and the great detail that we see. So I hope that in our faith walk that we sort of stop and consider how people are going to remember us. Will they see the beauty of Christ and his grace and love in our lives? Will we leave a legacy that is positive and God-honoring, so that just like these frescoes in this room, well preserved, will people be able to see in us a consistent walk of faith? And I hope that's the case, and I hope that's the case for me too. I know there are times when I am not living out a consistent walk of faith, but I hope that in the end I preserve for others perhaps to see in me and to understand what kind of life I lived. I hope that I preserve a godly legacy, not only for my kids, my grandkids, but for those who have been a part of our ministry, those who've been on trips like we are on now. But I hope that in the end, people will say, yes, that's a well-preserved man of God. So be encouraged today and be inspired to live out a life of legacy as you live out God, and in every way, your step of faith, your walk of faith, your journey of faith that reflects Christ in every way. So until next time, be encouraged and shalom.